What is going on, guys? And today I'm going to be talking about who the 76ers should pick with the number one pick in the NBA draft. And yes, even though the finals are going on, I feel like this is pretty interesting to talk about. I should probably do a video sometime soon about the finals and matchups, who's going to win, whatever. But I did do a video earlier on about that. Regardless, let's talk a little bit about who should be the number one pick. As of right now, it's pretty much only two options going between either Ben Simmons or Brandon Ingram at number one. No one else is really that close, even though about the 3 to 7 range or 3 to 8 range is very special, and there's a lot of mix-ups recently where Marquise Chris, I saw on Draft Express, is now predicted to go number 3, a guy who I like a lot. Regardless, let's talk about the top two because this is the most interesting part. Because most likely what's going to happen is whoever picks, for Los Angeles, whoever isn't picked, whether it be Simmons or Ingram, will go to them. Of course, there's been some rumors that they might go with another guy such as Dragan Bender, but quite frankly, I really don't think they should do that. Even though he can be a special player, I feel like it's much safer to go with one of these two guys. Of course, I might be completely wrong in 6 years from now. But as right now, I think it's just a safer option, a better option to build around in Los Angeles with one of these two guys. Now, of course, I mentioned this earlier in a video about the mock draft for the lottery, so I'm going to kind of touch on those points occasionally throughout the video and discussing it. Now, one thing I mentioned is the Sixers, at least under Sam Hinkie's reign, love to mess with other teams, so that's one reason why I think they would choose Ben Simmons, because Los Angeles, quite frankly, would be a lot better with Ben Simmons. Even though he's kind of redundant with Julius Randle, a big ball handling guy. Even though Julius Randle isn't like a point forward, he does need the ball pretty often. I feel that in the Los Angeles and the media there, he'd fit perfectly, and I feel like he would want to go there as well. But I don't think he's against Philadelphia either. So truthfully, I think Philly will choose him number one, and in the long term, I think Los Angeles would be pretty happy with Brandon Ingram. Now let's touch on some reasons why I think he should go number one. First thing first is he already has an NBA ready size and body, whatever you want to call it. He's about 6'9", 6'10", and he weighs about 240, which is pretty similar to LeBron. Of course, he's a couple inches taller and a little bit lighter, but there aren't many guys out there who are that big, especially in the current day NBA, who can handle the ball that well. I think the comparison for LeBron is actually pretty appropriate because of the fact that it's a point forward who can do everything, and while LeBron was a pretty elite shooter for a couple years down in Miami, he really hasn't been for the good majority of his career. So I think Ben Simmons, his NBA comparison would most likely be like a young LeBron, a guy who can do pretty much anything out on the court, but he wasn't a polished shooter just yet. I mean, Ben Simmons is kind of afraid of shooting. However, the thing about it is that's mainly because he really doesn't need to shoot. He plays against weaker competition, so he can just go to the basket, and there's no reason for him to really develop a jump shot, it seems. At least in my personal opinion, when you are able to go to the basket at will and no one's saying, alright, go take a jumper, then you're going to be able to do it all the time, and there's no real reason for him to, well, I mean, he should of course work on it, but there's no real reason to fall back upon it. Now going through some other stuff about him. He is a very athletic guy. If you look on his Draft Express page, even though this isn't official through Draft Express or the NBA Draft website, LSU posted his stats in terms of his size, height, weight, blah blah blah. He's officially 6'9" without and 6'10" with shoes. Weighs 240 with just over 7 foot wingspan, which is a pretty good size. About 9'1" standing reach, 8% body fat, which is a pretty good size. With a 37 no step and a 42-inch max vert. Even though that sounds as good as LeBron probably had a 44 in his prime. That's still incredible for a 6'10" guy to be able to jump that high. So I think Ben Simmons will fit pretty well into the NBA. I don't know his exact comparison as just saying a watered down LeBron or a weaker LeBron in terms of not being able to shoot the ball, or an early season LeBron isn't the best. Of course it kind of fits, but I think that's quite truthfully who he can be, is a guy who can do it all on the court, and he fits perfectly with Philly. Put him in at small forward, as power forward will most likely be Nerlens Noel. I think personally, in my opinion, they should keep Nerlens and trade away Jahlil Okafor for the 3 pick from the Celtics. I feel like that's the best option there. They can pick up a point guard and kind of round out the team, or pick up a shooting guard, and it fits a lot better. So that's my personal opinion. Ben Simmons is going to be a very skilled guy in the pro. Of course, he might bust, but more likely, I feel like he'll succeed. Really talented, and he can finish around the basket, not only just dunking, but actual finishing with layups, floaters, and whatnot. Now moving on to the guy who I think will go number 2 is Brandon Ingram. I like Brandon Ingram a lot. I'm not super high on him because he's pretty skinny, and I don't really know a true draft comparison to him. When watching him, he plays a lot like Kevin Durant, but then again, the difference between him and Kevin Durant is substantial. They're about the same height. Brandon Ingram might be like an inch shorter. I think when Durant was drafted, he was 6'9" without and 6'10" with shoes, while with Brandon Ingram, let me look him up right here, I believe he's just an inch shorter. Without shoes, he is... Oh, sorry for the wait time. It's loading right now, the website Draft Express. I use Draft Express a lot, in case you didn't notice. Yeah, he was 6'8" and then 6'9.5" with shoes. So he's pretty close, but the thing is, he's more than 20 pounds lighter. When Kevin Durant came into the league, he was about 215, 220, at a very similar size, but Brandon Ingram's only 195. Of course, he does have a freakish wingspan and a crazy standing reach of a 7'3" wingspan and a 9'2" standing reach. But that is incredibly skinny. There's a picture, I'll try to link it or something, of him at the draft lottery, and it is crazy. This guy is literally a toothpick. That's the one thing about him, is a lot of guys coming into the league who are pretty skinny, but I haven't seen a guy this skinny in quite some time. Of course, you'll throw out some guys like Giannis came in pretty skinny, as he was the same size, the same weight, but he did have some sort of muscle tone to him, while Brandon Ingram just literally looks like a stick and a twig out there. Kevin Durant, even though he is very skinny, he is powerful, as right now he probably weighs around 240. I believe that's what he's actually listed at, and coming out with 220, even though that's pretty skinny and he couldn't bench 185, that's still not too bad. There's a lot of guys who are out there that come into the league who can't really do much in terms of the weight room, but in the long run, you can develop that pretty easily. So Brandon Ingram, I feel like the weight isn't a huge issue later on in his career, but currently starting off, that's one issue he does have, is that he might get bullied around early on. So in my opinion, I don't know exactly what he's going to be like in the pros. Of course, you can say, once again, like a watered down Kevin Durant, and I guess that works well, but I think what he plays it like a lot, if you watch him play, is like a Giannis type, and I mentioned Giannis earlier, and but Giannis with the jump shot. Of course, he's not as polished as Giannis in certain aspects of his game, while Giannis is a much better defender. I feel like he's a much more polished guy, and he's a pretty good rebounder. While Brandon Ingram, even though you really can't judge everything off of rebounding stats, he did average 7 rebounds a game, but compared to guys like Durant, who I believe averaged 11 or 12, that's not too great. Of course, I think this won't be a huge issue in the league, but I feel like, in my personal opinion, Brandon Ingram isn't as good as Ben Simmons, but still good enough to pick with the number 2 pick. Ultimately, I feel like he could end up like a weaker Kevin Durant. Maybe, I don't know exactly how to say this, but in terms of what we saw in Kevin Durant in maybe like 2010, 2009, maybe that's where Brandon Ingram ultimately reaches his peak, which, I mean, that is still incredible considering how great Kevin Durant's been since pretty much 2008. Because his rookie year, he wasn't he wasn't super great, but yeah, if you look at like the 2010 season, Durant averaged 30 points a game with 7 rebounds. Even that might be too. I think, let's say his 2009 season, which was the second season, where he averaged 25, 6, and 3. I think that will be around the pinnacle of Brandon Ingram. He does take it to the rim a lot. He's a good finisher as well. He likes to dunk on people a lot, it looks like. Good shooter, of course. So there's not too many weaknesses in his game. He's an all-around pretty good player, so that's why I see some Tayshaun Prince comparisons. But ultimately, I feel like he can be Giannis with a jump shot. He might not be as good of a ball handler and on-ball defender in terms of on the perimeter, but I think he can be of that vein. Not to go through it really quickly, Ben Simmons, I feel like ultimately will be the number 1 pick, and he is kind of like a watered-down LeBron. You can throw in other comparisons in there as well. I like the Lamar Odom comparison, as Lamar Odom has a really similar skill set, a big lefty power forward who can play point forward pretty easily. And Brandon Ingram is a much different prospect with a great jump shot, and I feel like he can be a pretty skilled player as well, such as a weaker Kevin Durant or a Giannis type. So that's my quick little talk about it. I might do another couple videos about the draft before it actually happens, but that's my just 10-minute spiel about it. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Please give me a thumbs up if you watch this far or listen this far. Comment down below what you think about my comparisons, or give me some comparisons that are better than mine. Subscribe for more 2K, draft, and whatever content, and share with your friends if you want to. Thank you guys for watching once again, and of course, have a good day.